guys, Risque here, and welcome back to my ranked series at long last. If you're new here, welcome. This is a series where I take an artist's discography and rank it in order of personal preference. I take different things into account, such as just personal connotations, my personal feelings. This is all just my opinion. This is in no way a definitive ranking in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, you know from the title, but I'm excited. So we're gonna go ahead today and talk about the Australian pop queen, Miss Kylie Minogue herself. So normally when I do these, I like to kind of like do a real deep dive into each album and talk about it at length. She has a lot of albums, so if I do that with her, this video is gonna be like 6 hours long. So we're just gonna kind of do some rapid fire fun facts slash like personal opinions. But yeah, I'm super excited. So again, I just want to state this is all purely my own opinion. I don't really take things like chart rankings and like radio play. I don't really take that into account when I rank these albums. So yeah, if your favorites are near the bottom, sorry. She has not released a bad album yet. It's just, this is a ranked format, and so anyway. That's how we do it here. I do want to apologize for it taking so long for this to come out. I've been working on this since I finished my Carly Rae Jepsen one, and just life got in the way. I had to move, just a whole bunch of bullshit. So anyway, I'm really excited to finally be talking about it. And yeah, let's jump on in and talk about Kylie Minogue, shall we? So this was recorded while she was still on the soap opera Neighbours, had a bit of a troubled development, but it ended up being the 5th highest selling album in the 80s in the UK. So, I mean, it has that going for it. A lot of critics say that it's dated production. I don't really agree with that. I don't really agree with like dated production in general. I don't mind when things sound retro. And I mean, I will say that the production in this album did sound more like the stuff that would have come out in the early 80s as opposed to the late 80s when this came out. But again, I don't think that's necessarily dated. I just think it's inspired by music that came out earlier in the decade. Standout tracks for me: Locomotion, I Should Be So Lucky, Got to Be Certain, and I'll Still Be Loving You. Super big bops. Check them out. So Let's Get To It is kind of one of Kylie's least commercially successful albums. People weren't all that crazy about it. Even she was kind of disappointed with it and the tour that followed it. She even left her label PWL after this album was released. But that still being said, there are still bops on this album right here, right now. If you Are With Me Now, excuse me, Too Much of a Good Thing, and Give Me Just a Little More Time are all really good songs. So Kylie Minogue to me is like a quintessential 90s pop R&B album. It definitely gives me like some very strong Madonna erotica vibes. And a lot of Kylie comes through on this album, and you can tell that she had a lot more creative control as opposed to her previous releases. So now that she was with her new label, this was kind of almost like a rebranding of Kylie as a pop artist. She wasn't really doing the bubblegum, 80s dance pop as much, and she was kind of maturing into this new Kylie. And also, Kylie claims that the coffee table book that accompanied this album's release was more inspired by Janet Jackson, and it was planned before Madonna's Sex book came out. Super good songs on this album. Confide in Me, Surrender, Dangerous Game, Automatic Love, and Time Will Pass You By are all really good songs. I highly recommend them. So this album was definitely a lot more dance inspired versus bubblegum pop like her previous releases had been. Critics definitely appreciated it more, but it did commercially perform worse than her previous albums, which was kind of interesting to me. She was with Michael Hutchence of NXS at the time, and that heavily inspired the development of this album. Another big influence was Madonna's Like a Prayer, which, I mean, it had just come out the previous year and like everybody was obsessed with that album. So I'm like, I don't blame Kylie one bit. Kylie's vocals really shine on this album too, and I love that she kind of got to explore more with her vocal range. And in retrospect, this album definitely established her as a more serious pop artist as opposed to the previous releases. Standout tracks for me: The World Still Turns, Step Back in Time, Secrets, One Boy Girl, and Shocked. Go check them out, y'all. You won't regret it. Oh, Impossible Princess. My biggest issue with this album is I understand why the name change had to happen because, you know, the Princess Di tragedy and all of that. So I totally get that. I just think they could have picked a different album than Kylie Minogue again. Especially since literally she had just released her previous album, Kylie Minogue. Her debut album is called Kylie. I feel like they could have come up with a different title. But that aside, this album definitely had a lot more rock influence, which she hadn't really experimented with yet. It was a very personal album from her, and unfortunately, it just didn't vibe with people. People just were not in love or ready for indie Kylie yet, and it breaks my heart because I think she said after this album came out, she was like, okay, I'm never making anything personal again because this did not work out. And I hate that. In retrospect though, I definitely think it's kind of come into its own and people have been able to appreciate the album for what it is. Although I don't necessarily love every song on it, I do still thoroughly enjoy this album and I really appreciate that it's so personal for her and I love what it represents. Standout tracks, let's do this. Some Kind of Bliss, Dreams, I Don't Need Anyone, Love Takes Over Me, and Limbo. All fucking bops. I love them. So Kylie was definitely interesting and unique at this era because at this time a lot of soap stars and actors and everything, they weren't necessarily dabbling in music there. It was kind of rare for somebody to do both. To me, this album definitely, it kind of feels like more of an extension of her debut as opposed to a standalone album, although I do find this album to be a lot catchier. She also definitely got to show off her vocal range a lot more than she did in the debut. Standout tracks, there's a lot of them because I love this album. Never Too Late, Tears on My Pillow, My Secret Heart, Hand on Your Heart, and I'm Dreaming Over You. So good, just fucking quality 80s pop music. You won't regret it, check it out.
We're golden, burn like the stars. We're golden, straight from the heart. With a voice that I never give in, get knocked down, back up again. We're golden, golden, that's who we are.
So this was her first album with BMG, who I think, is she still with them? I should have looked that up before I did this. Oh well. If she is, cool. If she's not, cool. Anyway, it was her first album with BMG, excuse me, and it was initially going to be a synth pop inspired album, but she was very heavily inspired by like Nashville's country scene, and so that became golden. I think the biggest downside is for me, y'all know, I want to make this clear that this is a country-inspired pop album. It is not a country album. I was nervous going and listening to it because if you've been subscribed to me for any amount of time, you probably know that I don't really vibe well with country music, so I was nervous listening to this. But a lot of the songs are catchy. A lot of the songs do sound similar to me, which is kind of a downside. But they all sound catchy. This is also her most personal album since Impossible Princess, so I love it for that alone. Standout tracks, let's do this. Sincerely Yours, Lost Without You, Shelby 68, Golden, Dancing, and Stop Me From Falling. You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with those songs, y'all. Check them out. So this was kind of her triumph album after she beat breast cancer, she got out of a long-term relationship, she was just doing the damn thing. And you can kind of hear her confidence in this album, and I love that. She definitely took all of her personal struggles and she turned it into this positive, upbeat, Eurodance album. And it's fantastic, although I will say it is a little more forgettable than the other albums in her discography. It's never just an album that I think of when I think of Kylie. That being said, standout tracks: Speakerphone, Like a Drug, Magnetic Electric, The One, All I See, and In My Arms. You can't go wrong. Add them to your workout playlists. This was the big one for her. It continued her upward career trajectory in the US from Light Years. It was her first album to really achieve like major global worldwide success, because she had been kind of trying to crack into the US market for a while, but just her albums didn't really gain traction over here, which I hate because she's so talented. Her albums are so good. I would have loved her from the start if I knew about her from the start. I knew about In Your Eyes, and that was about it. And then I didn't really hear about Kylie much again until like All the Lovers. This was also her first album to earn her a Grammy. So congrats, Kylie. I also feel like this album holds up really well despite being fucking 20 years old. Like, I think that it's still fresh, it's still catchy, it can still be played on the radio today and people would eat it up. Standout tracks, of course, In Your Eyes, Can't Get You Out of My Head, Love at First Sight, Dance Floor, Fragile, and Fever. All really good songs. Just the whole album, honestly, is no skips though, so just listen to it, you won't regret it. So after Golden, this was her next kind of themed album, and obviously from the title, it's very disco inspired, very 70s heavy, Gloria Gaynor, Donna Summer, ABBA, huge influences on this album. Also the fact that this came out during COVID, it's very upbeat, it's very positive, you want to dance to it, it's just what we needed at that time. And it also made her kind of be a lot more involved in the creation of the album, since she was doing a lot of like the engineering and shit by herself, because I mean, she had to. We were all trapped at home. Standout tracks for me: Supernova, Real Groove, Celebrate You, Miss a Thing, Last Chance, and Magic. So after Impossible Princess didn't do that great, Kylie decided to go back to what she was known for, what people loved her for, and I mean, it worked out. It was also definitely kind of a taste of what we would get from Kylie going forward. And with this album coming out, it definitely solidified Kylie as a pop artist for the 2000s. Because I mean, this was coming out around the same time that Music by Madonna came out. This was coming out with Britney, Christina, Jessica Simpson, like all of these pop girlies, Pink. And it showed that Kylie can compete with them and she can hold her own. She incorporates disco a lot in her music. Like, that's kind of what she's known for, but she does it in a way where she's able to also like incorporate modern genres as well with the disco so that it doesn't sound dated, as people would say. And I don't know, she does it so well. I want to know her secrets. Standout tracks for me: Spinning Around, Disco Down, On a Night Like This, I'm So High, Your Disco Needs You, and Please Stay. I'm gonna go listen to this album after this video.
Never get to heaven if you're scared of getting high. Keep freaking around, I wanna get down. Another blooded woman wants to point and hang around. Wanna keep turning it down. This girl wants to rock with you. Keep freaking around, I wanna get down. Another blooded woman wants to point and hang around. Wanna keep turning it down. This girl wants to rock with you.
So this was heavily inspired by 80s music, but not her 80s music. It's definitely more like R&B hip hop 80s music. It was definitely a much more like overtly sexual album for her. She usually is, well, she used to be kind of more like tongue-in-cheek about her like innuendos and stuff like that, and in body language she's like, no, we fucking. I had this whole quote in my notes because it's just the perfect way to describe this album, in my opinion. Chris True, in his review of Body Language at All Music, said, if Light Years was the comeback and Fever the confirmation, then Body Language can best be described as Kylie's big step forward. And I completely agree with that, because she was progressing, she was evolving. She was still the same Kylie, but she was showing, hey, I can do this too, and still be bomb as fuck doing it. Standout tracks for me: Red Blooded Woman, Secret, Take You Home, Slow, Cruise Control, Promises, and Chocolate. I especially love Chocolate just because it's so weird, and in the best way possible.
This is what'll happen if you ain't giving your girl what she needs. You realize you're a perfect stranger. You talk, I wanna feel that danger. Leave me with him and it's turning you on. Have me say, getting me back at the end of the song. Get out of my way, got no more to say. Just taking the place. Get out of my
This album is quintessential early 2010s pop at its best. It was officially recognized as her comeback album by her label, although X technically was supposed to be that, but Aphrodite was definitely Kylie's return to form. Standout tracks: Get Out of My Way, Everything Is Beautiful, All the Lovers, Cupid Boy, Closer, and Illusion.
all night, touch me right there. Touch me right there. Touch me right there. Baby, break the tension. All night, touch me right there. Touch me right there. Touch me right there. Baby, what you missing? Oh my God, touch me right there. Almost there, touch me right there. Don't be shy, boy, I don't bite. You know where, touch me right there. Oh my God, touch me right there. Almost there, touch me right there. Don't be shy, boy, I don't bite. You know where, touch me right there.
So this was her first album without a theme since Kiss Me Once, so pretty much a whole decade went by without a themed album, or without a non-themed album from Miss Minogue. There we go, that's what I was trying to say. This album, I can only really describe it as euphoric EDM. It's just, you listen to it and your troubles melt away. Everything seems okay, and it's the fucking best thing ever. Standout tracks, there are a lot because it's a really good album. Tension, Vegas High, Padam Padam, which is her most globally successful single since Can't Get You Out of My Head. Love Train, Hold On to Now, Somebody to Love, and 10 out of 10. But this whole album, y'all, go listen to it. You won't regret it.
This is all I know. When I got my back up against the wall, don't need no one to rescue me. 'Cause I ain't waking up for no miracle. Yeah, tonight I'm running free. Into the blue. Into the blue. When nothing to lose.
is definitely her most sex-focused album. I think there are like 3 or 4 songs on the album with sex in the title. And it was definitely another attempt at her breaking into the US market. It's made for US radio. This album, I wasn't truly expecting to love it as much as I did when I listened to it. I was just like, oh, okay, this is my new jam. This is no skips. Every song is a hit. Every song is a bop. Like, you can't go wrong listening to it. You can't be in a bad mood listening to it. It's the fucking best. The only complaint I have is that there are only 2 singles, and the videos were kind of meh. I usually really like Kylie's videos, but for some reason, this album, they just weren't hitting for me. That being said, still plenty of standout tracks. You might want to write these down, there's a lot. Les Sex, Sexercise, Beautiful, Into the Blue, Mr. President, Million Miles, and Sleeping with the Enemy. I've had all of them on repeat for months, so while researching this album, or this video. And that pretty much wraps up our Kylie ranked episode. What's your Kylie ranking? Leave it in the comments below and let's discuss Kylie. I had so much fun discovering more of her discography. There were so many songs that she's done that are so good that I had no idea about. So I'm really glad I did this. I have a couple ideas for my next ranked episode. It should not take nearly as long as this one did. But yeah, so I'm really excited. I hope you guys are too. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Can't guarantee I will actually do them, but I will consider it. And yeah, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and end this episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share this with your friends, hit the bell so you don't miss an upload, and I'll see you guys next time.